All right. Hello, everybody. Hope you all are doing well. This is DFS Army's NBA pre-lock show. No show yesterday for a multitude of reasons, but we did still have. I put in the Discord. I'm still going to do leverage sheets. I'm still going to have core plays. And not to pat myself on the back too much, but we low key kind of smashed. Like the leverage plays we had Duran, we had Wimby and Castle. All those guys worked out. And then the core plays were Reynal and Smalls. So it was a good night. It was a good night last night. Saturday was a good night. So hopefully we can keep the momentum running and going for a good slate on deck. TK Moss, for those of you who don't know, is here with us. I feel like you're a single entry and showdown goat, but how are you doing, man? It's been a while.
Yeah, man, I've been doing pretty good, man. I'm ready to help the DFS Army win again tonight.
Yeah, let's keep the good vibes going. Ballaholic, Brandon, Cujo, good to see y'all. Let's get to it. This first game is one that's not going to be easy on us because I'm pretty sure we'll have to come back and look at it. But we have the 76ers going up against the Pacers, 233 total with a 10.5 point spread. That's a pretty wide spread. This game should not be super close. But from a DFS perspective, Joel Embiid is questionable. That's big because we know what Joel Embiid does for the Philadelphia 76ers. If he gets ruled out, boosts to guys like Drummond and Bona. We've seen it enough times. And Paul George is still out here. Anyone you're prioritizing here from the Sixers side of things?
Yeah, I'll be definitely prioritizing Tyrese Maxey. This guy has 60 plus upside. This guy is arguably he has the highest fantasy points on this slate. So I'm definitely will be prioritizing Maxey.
Yeah, I'm with you. Not too many of these guys are standing out for me. Unfortunately, I really am just letting the DS do its thing here, and Tyrese Maxey shows up in about 47% of lineups for me, which I like. He's a guy who's in a great spot, whether Joel Embiid plays or doesn't play tonight. Joel Embiid, if he gets ruled in, is a viable option on this slate, but someone I'll once again just kind of let the DS handle. It's not a situation I feel passionately enough about to try and force one way or the other. So just Maxey, I don't think it's crazy to think about guys like VJ Edgecombe and Kelly Oubre. Did you give them any thought here?
Yes, I like those as potentially a pivot off of Maxi. Like I would definitely make a rule not to have those guys, together
Yeah.
because like on this big of a slate, like I can't see Maxi and BJ having a monster game together. So I would make a rule just like excluding those three not in the same lineup together.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't disagree. Personally, I would like to see a little bit of VJ and Kelly O show up by themselves, but they're not. And so try my best to avoid over tinkering here. Brandon Clegg, TK, he's been doing this awesome like spreadsheets, really breaking down showdowns and what's been winning like for each slate, and he's almost done going through it. I feel like you two could probably
Yeah,
look into that some.
he's definitely DMing about that. We had some dialogue about that. Yeah.
Good. All right. For the Pacers side of things, matchup against the Sixers is pretty average across the board. Not something you're trying to get away from per se, but the Pacers themselves aren't the best team. Pascal Siakam is still ruled out, so we know what that's been doing for Jarris Walker. Zubac is not playing yet. Aaron Nesmith is out still. So again, this is just a team that's banged up. They've had a lot of injuries. So I feel like Walker's the only guy I'm really seeing a lot in my lineups. Let's look and see. Like we have Walker in about 44% of lineups right now. I like that, so I'm not going to do anything to change it. And then a little bit of Micah Potter. I'm kind of surprised I'm not seeing more of guys like Potter or Brown, but I'm not mad about it. I don't know. How are you seeing the Pacers tonight?
Yes, Jarris Walker, he's the most appealing player for me in this game. He's somebody who's shown that he has upside, especially when Siakam is out. And
Yeah.
this Pacers team is just out of wax. And when it comes to Potter, he was a little value that I was getting, but that was pretty much it for the Pacers side.
Yeah, it's one of those teams that have just become frustrating. They play everybody, but there's still a couple of guys like Walker and Huff and Brown and Potter who are still DFS viable. But the only guy I'm really seeing a decent amount of exposure to is Walker. My guy Brandon has some interest in Quentin Jackson too. Yeah, I think he's a viable 3-4K option on this slate, but I do think we'll have some better options as we move through these games. And I think you really see that in this Washington game. My guy and our guy, Madness, was all on this Alondes Williams call last week. I didn't know who the hell he was, but he was on him as like a 3K dart throw last week, and he's been on fire, really. And part of that is because Washington's still missing a ton of guys. AD's not here yet. D'Lo's not playing yet. Trae Young's not playing yet. Alexander Sarr's been out for a hot minute now, so their center position's been insane. And again, the matchup against the Hawks is a just pretty average spot. Nothing too wild. Decent total, 236.5. The highest total game on the slate. So that's always going to get my attention, but the spread being 12.5 points is definitely worrisome. Are you getting to any of the Wizards tonight?
Yes, I absolutely love Alondes Williams. Yeah. He's probably my favorite value on this whole slate, just from the standpoint. Even the simulation model loved him. Like he was like his 6 times value consistency was, I think it was like in the top 5, top 10. So I definitely love him. Tristan Vujicic, like he's a solid mid-range center. I like him.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much all for Washington.
Mm-hmm. And like you said, it's really the value I'm looking to attack here. Right. This is just another team that play everybody. And so that's not really what we're looking for in DFS outside of the few guys who are seeing a little bit more than 20 plus minutes, and or like in Vucevic's case, he's just really efficient while he is out there. He sees about 1.25 fantasy points per minute. Ultimately, though, this isn't a team I'm going to have too much exposure to. It's another spot I'm just kind of trusting the DS on. And again, if you're wondering what is the DS, what is the domination station, click the link in the description to have access to DFS Army's full VIP access. The DS is our domination station. Our optimizer is what, between TK and I, we've won multiple 4, 5, and 6K wins. And so that's kind of been it's been my bread and butter for a long time. So I definitely would recommend you all joining, or at least hit the like button if you don't do that. Either way, it's a win. So for me, with the Wizards, it's really just Williams showing up in about 79% of my lineups. That's a lot. That's going to be a core play for me. He's going to be in a ton of these lines. But outside of that, I didn't feel strongly enough about any of the other options on this team to force them in. I think you're right. I think Vucevic is a very viable option at 5K, but as we get through these games, there's a lot of viable center plays on this slate. So it was hard for me to prioritize him now being a little bit more expensive than he was. Everyone's appreciating you for your showdown notes. They've been really, really good this season. And looks like we're not alone liking Williams, Milwaukee's best. Okay. All right. The other side of this game, I feel like we've seen this game so many times this season, but maybe I'm just losing it. Who knows? For Atlanta tonight, they are pretty healthy, but let me just double check that. Yeah, there's no real injury news to talk about here, but they get a fantastic matchup against Washington. How are you treating the Hawks? I like them more than I thought I would.
Yeah, for me, my favorite play is Jalen Johnson, just from the standpoint he's a guy who has 60 plus upside. The thing that I might have a little bit trepidation on is like you were saying earlier, though, this game could blow out. This game, Jalen Johnson may allow the other guys just to go off because McCollum is a scorer, Alexander's a scorer. Kongwu can score. It's like so many guys on this team can score. Maybe Jalen Johnson doesn't feel the need to even try to, explode on this team. And so other than him, I think Dyson Daniels is a little bit interesting because he has steals and blocks upside. So he's somebody that he could get a exuberant score on his team. But other than that, that's all for me.
Yeah, it's a little weird. Yeah, good call out, Brandon. Kuminga, it was reported he will be available to play tonight. So
Right.
we'll probably see him out there a bit. I think our 14-minute projection is probably pretty close, which is interesting. I don't think he'll damage anyone important that we usually try to get exposure to, but I do think we see less of like Risa Shea, Gay, Kispert. Really more of like the Kispert is who I would expect to be impacted the most, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm with you. Jalen Johnson's a great play. We've seen him face the Wizards now twice this year. First time he didn't really do much. I think at like 20 fantasy points. The other game he had 70 fantasy points, which would probably get us there tonight. So I like Jalen Johnson. Tyrese Maxey, I'm very, very much so over the field on. Jalen Johnson's only showing up in about 13% of lineups. I like Jalen Johnson enough where I am willing to force exposure to him. Like I said, highest total game. I'm looking for reasons to play these guys, not reasons not to. So I'll put a 25% min on him, just making sure I'm a little bit over the field there. And then I have two sneaky spots down here. CJ McCollum at 6,600, Dyson Daniels at 6,300. Neither one of these guys have been great. There's not a lot to point to and say, here's a DFS winning line where they've hit the nuts. There haven't been too many cases of that. For CJ McCollum, though, his minutes are starting to trend in the right direction. His usage rates are starting to trend in the right direction. And then there's the revenge narrative here and the relatively low ownership in a positive game environment. I'm willing to take a shot. I wish he was a little bit lower owned. It looks like this is starting to get some traction, but I have a 20% min on him to get a little bit of leverage there over the field. Very risky play by like the upside. And then Dyson Daniels. Dyson Daniels has been a pain in my ass this entire year because he hasn't been coming through for us in these great spots. This is probably another spot he disappoints us in, but at 6,300, I'm willing to take a shot with him being a relatively low-owned guy in the highest total game on the slate. So Daniels is officially a leverage play for me. He's someone I like being over the field on. Just need him to be a bit more aggressive on offense. That's the true thing that's been holding him back here. So I like kind of getting some exposure to CJ and Dyson in that game too. Next up, we have the Dallas Mavericks going up against the Nets. Closest spread on the slate, if that moves the needle for you, and a decent total too at 266.5. For Dallas, though, there is injury news per usual of this team. No Cooper Flagg still. Daniel Gafford is questionable. If Gafford gets ruled out, we'll more than likely see Marvin Bagley move into the starting lineup. And then Dwight Powell sees a increase in minutes too, but usually not enough to matter. I'm not getting as much exposure as I thought I would to this Dallas team. Are you?
Really, the only guys I'm really getting exposure to is Middleton. Middleton has been pretty solid the last couple of games. This is a solid matchup for him. For me, PJ Washington, I'd rather be under on him, just from the standpoint of he's not really somebody who's gonna get you that GPP winning game to win a contest. So I want to be under on him. And the only how I'd be interested in Marvin Bagley is if Gafford's out, because Bagley is a good fantasy points per minute player, and I think he'll be a solid play that I would like. But other than that, that was pretty much it for Dallas.
Yeah. Najee Marshall's a little priced up for me. PJ Washington's in an interesting spot because the Nets aren't a good defense. They just play so slow that their defense looks like it's better than it is. PJ Washington's good enough and plays enough where I think there could be some upside here, but kind of like you mentioned, he's not my favorite play by any means. Chris Middleton is showing up in 63% of my lineups. Not gonna lie, I did not realize that earlier when I was editing this. Y'all know I do not like Chris Middleton. Me and him, we have some beef. We've gone way back, but this is a spot where it makes sense. He's 5K, again, not going up against a bad defense. He's been playing plenty of minutes. He's been producing while he's out there, so I'm not going to get too cute with it. And the Nets aren't a good defense. So it's more similar to the Pacers game than it is to like the Minnesota game we saw towards the end of last week. So, yeah, I'm fine with Chris Middleton, but I don't think I need 65%. I'll cap him at 50, but I still like him. And then PJ Washington, he is showing up in 30% of lineups. And again, I think this is a soft matchup. I still think it's a fine spot for him, but I don't feel like I need leverage on him. Kind of like the Chris Murray or Keegan Murray play yesterday. He was super chalk, and it was just like, yeah, but we kind of know who he is. We don't need him in 80% of our lineups. 50 is fine. Gafford is available. Appreciate that, guys.
Available.
So, yeah, that's pretty much it for Dallas. For the Nets, of course, they always keep things interesting for us. This Dallas team is one I've liked picking on all year. So I thought I would have more interest in Brooklyn tonight, but they didn't really pop for me too much. They don't really have any injury news worth mentioning. Are you getting to MPJ?
He was somebody who was showing up in my lineup, but it's just I know he's the highest price small forward on this slate.
Yeah.
It's like I guess I matched the field because, like you said, like this Dallas defense is not good. Definitely want to pick on a bad team. So I could, like, Michael Porter Jr. could easily give you 35 points and get a couple of rebounds and assists. So it's like I'll like match the field with him. Clowney was somebody I thought was a bit interesting. Clowney hasn't looked good in the last recent games, but I'd rather jump on him while the field stays low on him. So if the field is looking at his box score saying he's bad, I'd rather be over the field. Because this may be the game where he can explode like he's shown in the past. And also Claxton, I think Claxton is a sneaky play. He's a guy who's going to be underowned at center. But the Mavericks, the last 5 games, the Mavericks have given up about 57 points in the paint. Like he can dominate the inside. He can get rebounds. He can get blocks. He's somebody I would want to have over the field, be overexposed on him, Claxton.
Yeah, you're bringing up some good points. So with MPJ, y'all know we were riding the hot hand earlier this year, and it was going great. And with stars, I'm calling him a star. You get what I'm saying. On this team, he is the star of the team. He's not a star in the league. Let's use our brains here, guys. But with him being the star on this team, I think my new philosophy is like first half of the season, we can play the hell out of these guys, and we know they're going to be consistent. Second half of the season, and especially when they're seeing more ownership, I'm a bit more nervous about it. I'm not trying to keep riding the train. We've been doing it. I'll play him still when he's low owned because there is still upside there. But with him at 13% ownership, feels a little sketchy to me. If the DS was putting him in there by himself, fine. I wouldn't do anything about it. But he's not, at least currently, so I won't force him in there. I do think that Claxton call is good, though, man. We keep talking about there's a lot of centers on this slate I like, but this is a great matchup. We've been picking on Dallas with bigs all year. The only concern I have is Nick Claxton. He did return from an injury, but he still played like high 20, 30 plus minutes. His production's just been a little inconsistent, but this is a good get right spot for him as long as the minutes are there. So I like that call. I'll put a 10% min there and then just move on. Next game is the lowest game total on the slate at 216.5 with a close spread at 2.5 points, which is something we can't say too much of on this slate. So it's not impossible someone can pop off in this game. It's just less likely than some of the others. What makes things a little complicated here is for OKC, they're missing all the guys they've sat out for a while. And the thing that complicates it a bit more is Chet Holmgren is questionable with a back injury. And so if Chet misses this game, we should see guys like Jalen Williams see a lot more minutes. Isaiah Hartenstein, he's going to be a much more viable play if Chet Holmgren gets ruled out. But the Raptors are a good defense, so it's not a spot I love, and I didn't force exposure here, did you?
No, definitely not.
Yeah. Is there anyone you would like if Chet gets ruled out or anything different there?
If Chet gets ruled out, Jalen Williams, he'll look a bit better. I think Isaiah Joe is somebody could be a bit sneaky. He's a good scorer, but like you said, Toronto's a good defense. I would probably maybe try to force some, like I said, Isaiah Joe. But other than that, I wouldn't be on anybody else.
Yeah, Isaiah Joe has a strict 3 games only rule for me. I only play him on 3 gamers, which sounds crazy, but I promise you that philosophy has worked pretty well for me more often than not. But I hope that works out for y'all who do it. Looks like Brandon likes the Isaiah Joe call too. Let's see. Next up, Raptors side of things. And we got the late news that Scotty Barnes is questionable, which just suddenly makes this game more viable or interesting. So if wait, right? Scotty Barnes is questionable. Or am I making that up?
I don't. He says he's available. Oh, that was yesterday.
I think
I don't see questionable.
Yeah, I think I really just made that up from like some fever dream because I'm not seeing it either. All right, so Scotty Barnes is fine then, I guess, unless I see that news pop up again somewhere. But I just looked. So yeah, with this team healthy, going up against a good Thunders team, which is weird to say that they are good even with all the guys they have out, but they have still been a good defense of all the injuries that the Thunder team has. It's hard for me to prioritize anyone here. Were you able to pick a favorite?
Yeah, with Toronto, I wasn't getting to anybody here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's just gonna be a pass for me. I don't think it's crazy to take a shot on one, like if this game does stay close and competitive, but it's too much guessing there for me when there's other guys who are just in good spots. Next up, we have a game I like. We have the Knicks going up against the Cavs. 232-point total of a close spread, 4 points. For the Knicks, the Cavs have been improving a little bit on defense, but they're still pretty league average for both pace and defense. So nothing too crazy there. And from an injury news perspective, they're basically healthy. Do you like a Brunson or a Cat tonight, or is anyone else standing out for you?
I like them, even though I wasn't getting them in the dome station. I like Towns. I like Brunson just from the standpoint these guys could get 50 plus fantasy points. This game should be competitive. These guys could see each other in the playoffs. And so we know how rivals play. Like Brunson, I could see Brunson trying to get 30. I could see Towns playing a little bit harder today. I even like Jose Alvarado as a decent value. So I'm definitely going to force myself to get like the Towns of the world and the Brunsons of the world in this show in this slate today.
Yeah, I agree. This is just a good matchup and spot for them. The Knicks have had quite a few tough matchups, and so I'm harder on them than a lot of guys just because I always feel like they're not consistent. And Cat finally had a decent game last time out, so willing to go there. Mobley for the Cavs is going to play very limited minutes tonight, and so the matchup should still be pretty soft about him there too. Cat will be a leverage play for me tonight. Never anyone's favorite sentence to say. I don't feel good saying that, but that's why he's a leverage play. He's not seeing a lot of ownership in a good matchup. And so I'm going to attack that, even though it's painful. Brunson is a fine play. He's just not someone I'm trying to prioritize. Just because I just think it's a decent spot, decent matchup, but there's just other guys I like a bit more. He's not showing up by himself, so he's just not going to be someone I'm going to have a lot of tonight. Jose Alvarado, though, I think could be sneaky. He's just another 4K value guy who sees 20-plus minutes, and he's usually not just a cardio machine, which makes him a viable value play for me. someone that I don't love. I think we have a decent amount of value options on this slate. We talked about Williams, we have Middleton, we have Moody. Uh, the list goes on. Like there's guys in the Warriors game too, but all these guys are a little sketchy. So whenever there's value like that I'm like, hey, it makes sense. I understand it, but I'm not blindly following it. I like to add in my own like weird value that could still get there too, just to kind of create for some different lineups. Was there anyone else you liked? Like, did you look at an OG or a Hart or Bridges at all?
I thought Josh Hart may be a sneaky guy to try to get to because he does have shooting forward and shooting guard eligibility. So he's somebody that I kind of looked at. I was like, okay, this maybe Hart may look a little bit interesting here. So, but that was about it.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, don't sleep on quickly for Toronto. 40-50 points history against OKC. Interesting, Jason. Yeah, I honestly do feel like I can't say I want to sleep on any of the Raptors because it wouldn't shock me if any of them get there. So if you have a lean and good history there for quickly, I definitely don't think it's crazy to take a shot on that guy a little bit and get a little bit of leverage there. They're all super low owned. I just don't have a favorite, and I don't want to do that on all of them. So have to pick and choose my battles. For the Jason's saying why Joe? I think he means Isaiah Joe, or is there another Joe I missed?
I think he's talking about Isaiah Joe.
Mm-hmm. Was there anything else that kind of got you on Isaiah Joe for tonight potentially?
Just being that like this OKC team is not healthy. Joe is a good scorer, but like I'm definitely not forcing him. Like if I get him in the lineups, I get him. But he's somebody at 5K. I could just if you're playing 150 lineups, just trying to be different. Like if he's
this is good. I missed the first part. That was targeted towards another Brandon in the chat, so it's all good. Okay. For the Cavs, though, them being pretty healthy, Evan Mobley coming back, it's a just grosser spot. And the Knicks are a good defense. I'm not playing anyone from the Cavs. Do you like anyone here?
I like Donovan Mitchell. Just from the standpoint, even when Harden's still here, I like Mitchell could get you 55 fantasy points. Like he's somebody who could get you there against this team. And I know like it should be competitive, should be hard fought, defense on both sides. But I like Donovan Mitchell here the most.
Yeah, I mean Donovan Mitchell. A lot of y'all know for almost all of these games, I've just been like 15% min on Donovan Mitchell, 15% min on James Harden, or I might do a little bit more on Harden, a little bit less on Mitchell. They've both been solid, but Mitchell's really still kept a lot of his upside. So I get those plays. And really, I usually like Donovan Mitchell, kind of like Brunson in games that are going to stay competitive. So I don't hate Brunson. I don't hate Mitchell. I just can't play everybody. And so that's the only reason I don't have men's on them. All right, next up is a game I like a lot, partially because I am a Hornets fan. There is that, but I like attacking the Bulls on every slate possible. And so we have a nice 232 total. Spread is a little wide at 8.5 points. For Charlotte, not really any injury news. They're just getting healthier. So Diabate is back and playing minutes again in a really good matchup that I like. And the rest of this team is a little hard to predict, but this Bulls team is not a good defensive team. And so I kind of just landed on playing most of them. So like I have a 15% min on LaMelo Ball. Want to be over the field there, even though his minutes are pretty inconsistent. So there's a lot of risk involved with LaMelo, but that's why he has lower ownership. Brandon Miller, I like a lot at 7,900. Just think he should be a little bit more expensive, but his ownership is there too. So I'm just matching the field. Khan is always criminally underowned, I guess because he's a little inconsistent, but there's guys who are way worse and more expensive that people are paying up for. So I like having some leverage on him. And then Diabate in a great matchup. I have a 20% min on. I like being double the field there too. So I really like this team. Am I crazy though? Do you hate them?
I would say Brandon Miller. He was the one I was getting the most in the dome station. But I like your analysis on Diabate, just from the standpoint of 5,200, getting double the field of him. I like being different there. LaMelo Ball, he's somebody that his minutes aren't consistent, but he can get you 50 plus upside.
Yeah.
And Colin Knipple, like I like what you're doing here because I think a lot of people are gonna try to be on a chalky Golden State Warriors. So I think the Charlotte Hornets is a nice pivot from these chalky teams.
Yeah, and everyone's talking about Miles Bridges. If I'm doing it with the rest of them, I might as well do it with Miles Bridges too. Miles Bridges is one of those guys, kind of like Chris Middleton, I just have some biases against, but sometimes you got to bite the bullet and take the shot on him, especially when they've been good, and he has been good this year. Yeah. Let's see, and that's pretty much it. Grant Williams is a non-factor with Diabate back. This Bulls side of the game's a little intriguing because Charlotte's been slightly above average defensively. And so this isn't a soft matchup for them by any means. And they do play a lot of guys. Jalen Smith is out. So boost to guys like Yabusele and Patrick Williams. Simons is out. So that solidifies the minutes for these guards some. So guys like Josh Giddey probably still won't see more than 30 minutes. He hasn't so far. Trey Jones, his minutes floor is pretty solid now with at least 20 minutes. Colin Sexton seeing a lot of ownership. A little worried about his minute production, and Rob Dillingham should see plenty of minutes too. So the issue here is there's still a ton of guards. We just don't really know where all of the minutes are going to go. How are you treating Chicago?
I was getting some Sexton. He was showing up in the Dom station, so I won't be afraid to match the field on him. I think Rob Dillingham, he's just another value you have down there. I saw that Nick Richards was 13%, but with so many good centers on this slate, I'd rather just be under on him. But other than that, I wasn't really getting any Chicago players.
Yeah, I do have a little bit of Rob Dillingham showing up in about 8% of lineups. Nick Richards, he's showing up in about 3% of them. It's a spot where if Nick Richards sees a ton of minutes, it's fine. We just don't know what those minutes will really look like. So that's part of the reason I'm not trying to make him a core player or anything. I think they know deep down all these guys just suck, like Miller, Richards, and Yabusele. So they're just going to split the minutes here. So could he be super efficient? Yes. It's just not enough for me to try and force exposure here if the DS doesn't like him already. I don't know. I feel like these Chicago guys could be needed tonight. The problem is I just don't trust any of them. I don't even love Sexton. I wish he showed up a bit more for me by himself, but I have so much Podziemski and Williams exposure. I don't even know if I want to lose that for Colin Sexton, who will probably only see like 15 minutes tonight, but he does a ton while he's out there. That 1.52 points per minute is a really good rate. I'm just trying to figure out if I should force that like 20% exposure of him. Are you putting him in like your single entry lines or anything, or how much Sexton's too much?
I think I'll just probably cap Sexton at maybe about that 20%, 21%. I'm not getting him in my single entry lineup just from the standpoint as just can't trust him, those minutes. Right. I'd rather just go to Alondes Williams. I'd rather just try to, be different there, or just try to, look for somebody with a higher pricing to get different than Field in that aspect.
Yeah. Sexton's just going to be one of those like pretty important decisions on this slate because he's a 4,600 guard and forward eligible, which probably helps him a lot. And he's just so freaking chalky at 20%. Will probably end up being significantly higher than that too. So yeah, if I don't have a pool kind of already pulling me towards that guy and he's not showing up for me naturally in the DS, I'm not going to force it. Yeah, Brandon, we're all on the same side here. Embiid is in. That's good news for Maxey. I think some people will think it's bad, but both of those guys are honestly kind of better together. It's funny when that happens. But we'll go back to it, make sure nothing changes there. It wouldn't shock me if my Maxey exposure gets closer to like 30%, and ideally my Jalen Johnson exposure would get a little bit closer to 30%, and that way we're kind of being a little bit more balanced there and slightly over the field, but we'll have to see how it plays out. Next up, we have the Miami Heat going up against the Milwaukee Bucks. For Miami, they have no real injury news, and they have a good matchup, slow pace team that they're going up against in the Bucks. Do any of the Miami Heat stand out for you tonight?
I like Bam. I'm just looking at this guy's ownership, and he's just so low on. And I know he's 8,800, and I know he's a center, but it's just like I I could I could just get like maybe 5-6%, and I have more than the field. Because Bam is somebody he has 55 plus upside. Milwaukee's a team that, like, this is an Eastern Conference game. Miami still needs to win, so like I will definitely get I'll be over on the field on Bam Adebayo.
Yeah. I have sometimes I feel like I'm talking to like another version of myself when I talk to you, because that's some shit I would say is like a low owned Bam, man. I'm on that all day, every day. But for once, I'm not. So that's why I'm kind of like also looking at myself in the mirror. I'm like, who am I right now? Like, what is wrong with me? But yeah, I'm not getting there with Bam. Is it because like Miles Turner's back, and so I think the defense will be better? Part of it, but I think you're right. Like a low owned Bam, only 8,800. We've seen him more expensive than that. I don't hate that call. Was there anyone else you like?
That was it from Miami for me.
Brandon said, is Ware a good play? I don't like playing Ware when this team's pretty healthy, but what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I wouldn't go to Ware. Like, we have so many great centers. You don't even need to even worry about Ware. If in my opinion.
I don't disagree. Do you have any additional thoughts on Andrew Wiggins? Looks like Brandon likes him.
Wiggins at 6,300. He's somebody I wouldn't force, but if you're getting if you're over the field on him, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean he's barely owned, so it wouldn't be too hard to do. You don't have to go too crazy to like even 5% to 10% will be really good for you here. The Bucks side of this game I like a little bit more because the Heat play at such a fast pace. You usually do see guys still do well in DFS going up against them. Milwaukee's basically healthy outside of the injuries they've had for a while. I did want to prioritize KPJ. Kevin Porter Jr. has been so freaking good since he's been back and seeing more minutes. Even though he's now more expensive than Ryan Rollins, don't really care. It looks like Brandon's with me. Play of the day. I have a 40% min on Kevin Porter Jr., and I want to be significantly over the field on him. And then I didn't care at all about the rest of the Bucks. What are your thoughts, man?
Yeah, I definitely agree with you with Kevin Porter and Ryan Rollins. Those guys are my two favorite plays from the Milwaukee side. Kevin Porter, he has the upside. Like you said, this is a fast-paced game. And so those two are the only guys I'm on.
Yeah. And like I get the Ryan Rollins. I didn't fully get there. It wouldn't shock me if all the ownership's going to KPJ and they're like, finally, he's the guy. Now Ryan Rollins gets going a bit more. I don't hate that, but KPJ just makes life easy. All right. Last game of the slate, a team I normally just write off, the Warriors, but we kind of have to look at them because they're going up against the Pelicans. One of those defenses, like Dallas, like Washington, maybe even worse when it comes to their front court defense. But for the Warriors side of things, Al Horford is out. Porzingis isn't playing. Curry and Jimmy Butler have been out for a while now. All these guys are pretty cheap. I do hate seeing the Warriors on a slate. Can you give me some reasons to maybe like these guys a bit more?
Yeah, this is the Golden State Warriors was very chalky. I was getting a lot of Brandon Pomiski. He's probably my favorite play here just because he has the most upside.
Good old Pops.
But when it comes to Brandon, Gus Santos, and Moody, and all these chalky guys, I would say at most maybe at 2 or 3, right?
Yeah.
But if for Santos, for Pod, and for Moody, I would do a max of 2, just from the standpoint of if you're playing 150 lineups, you have to ask yourself, are these 3 guys going to be in the winning lineup? And so if the answer is no, I'll just try to limit those guys and make rulings on those guys.
Yeah. I don't hate a rule like that. Thankfully, like I don't have too many of those Warriors showing up in too many lineups, maybe like 2 to 3. But I never hate a rule like that. I just usually don't, as long as it's not happening too much. When I look at exposures, Brandon Podziemski showing up the most in 97% of lineups. He's 6,200. He's the guy for this team. He plays the most minutes. Makes a lot of sense. Not going to overthink that one. He's basically a lock for me tonight. Everyone else gets a little bit of a closer look. There's always a bit more concern there. Moses Moody's been playing a lot of minutes, and he's still relatively cheap at 5,400. He's in 53% of my lineups. I would have capped him at 50 if he was showing up a bit more, but I'm fine with 53%. Oh, actually, I should probably rerun because I've just realized it's not taking into account some of those changes I made earlier. But yeah, so Pod shows up a lot. Moses Moody shows up. We're significantly over the field. Guy Santos is the one guy who didn't show up for me too much. I put a 25% min on him just to add him into the mix of value. Sim model also liked him a decent amount. And then Gary Payton II is only seeing about 8% of ownership, but he's another, and Post is the same situation. Just more value options. I don't believe either one of them are safe, but they're worth having some exposure to. Santos is now showing up in about 34% of lineups. I'm fine with that. Ooh, okay. Peyton and Post both fell for me a good bit. Let's see. Do I like them enough to force exposure? For Gary Payton, I do. I'll put a 10% min on him there. And then Post, I do too. I just like having a mixture of these value options and not going too crazy on one unless I absolutely love them. It looks like I lost my Williams exposure too because Quentin Jackson just skyrocketed in ownership. He's someone we didn't talk about too much.
Yeah.
And I definitely don't like him enough to be in this mini lineup, so I'll cap him at 15%, and that should actually bring things back down to normal, if I had to guess. But I will force Williams in if I need to. All right, last team on the slate, we have the Pelicans. Warriors play slow. They're slightly above average defense. Not my favorite matchup to see for teams. Trey Murphy is still out. Messi is still out. With Murphy out, just a boost to the forwards like Williams and Bay. And then Messi getting ruled out as a boost to Queen. Anyone that you're really trying to force into lineups here from the Pelicans, or what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I think like guys like Zion Williamson and Sadiq Bey, I think those are solid plays. With Trey Murphy out, obviously, these guys' usage will pop. So I don't mind being over the field on Williamson and Bay. Queen is a bit interesting. He's somebody I would try to, force a little bit more. And other than that, that's about all for this Pelican side for me.
Yeah, I know it looks like Brandon doesn't like the Pelicans too much, and I understand the dislike for Pelicans. They've disappointed people a good amount here recently, which is why I'm willing to go back to Derek Queen. I'm always trying to embrace the pain. You burned everybody last time out. We know you still have that 50, 60 point upside. And at low ownership, I'm going to hit that every time. So 10% min there. Sadiq Bey makes me a little bit more nervous, but he's just been good. And so I'm just going to continue to stay on that train. I'll lower this to a 15% min. And then Zion, I like having exposure to. I'll have a 20% min there, just being close to field weight exposure. And that's pretty much the slate. We'll stick around to see if there's any questions, and then also we'll give the exposures a quick glance. But is there anything else you kind of wanted to add, or kind of like a final statement you wanted to kind of wrap up with?
I would just say, guys, keep up with the news. You just never know.
Yeah, that's the thing about DFS for NBA. You gotta stay locked in. Can't forget about the news that comes throughout the slate. Keeps things interesting, that's for sure. So yeah, Pods is basically a lock. Moody's showing up in about 60% of lineups. I won't put a cap on him. Walker's showing up a lot. Middleton's showing up right at that 50% cap where we have him. Trying to see. Rob Dillingham surprises me a little bit, showing up in about 36% of lineups. Some really big leverage there, which I'm kind of okay with because it's basically my pivot off of Sexton. If Sexton has a great day, I'm probably losing anyway, so I don't hate just that 1K less, and we haven't projected for more minutes anyway, so could really help. But if Sexton pops off, that's scary. Yeah, Maxey did fall a lot, down to 29% exposure, so still over the field, but not in that 45 to 50% range we were at earlier. Marvin Bagley's starting to show up a bit. Did we get the news that
Gafford was available? I think someone said he was available, Gafford. I think I saw comments.
Yeah, we got that news. And so Bagley is 4,700. Let me see if I want to keep that. Bagley. Yeah, I definitely don't want him in 24% of my lineups. I will just like cap him though at 10%. He can just do a lot while he's out there, like decent points per minute guy. So I won't go crazy just in case the DS is onto something that I'm not on. All right, let's see what we have here. Embiid must play, I think is important. We should go back to 76ers and see what we're missing here. 9,700. We have him at 10% ownership. Let's see where a lot of the field has him. Philadelphia. Let's see. Philly. Yeah. What are your thoughts? I'll put a 10% min on him. What are you thinking with Embiid?
Do you know if the coach said Embiid will be on the minutes limit or something? Because it was like a knee or shin with him. So
we haven't seen anything yet around a limit, but good idea. Worth calling out. Did you have any strong thoughts on Quentin Jackson? I know the DS loves him.
Yeah, I was the guy from the Pacers for 4,400. Mm-hmm. He's somebody that I'll match the field on, but I'm not too overly excited to play the guy. But I'll match the field, that's for sure.
Yeah, I don't love him, and so I capped him at 15%. But we could just be missing something there.
Oh, sorry. You think you're muted?
Oh, I was just saying that's a wrap, guys. It's been a good one. Appreciate the support. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Last question. E-Money said, Walker or Bay?
I will go Bay.
Yeah, are they the same price? Yeah, they are. They are pretty close. I would go Walker just because he's been so involved, but I don't think Bay is a bad pivot at lower ownership.
Yeah, I'll say if you're playing cash, you could probably go Walker, but in GPP single entry, I'll just go Bay just to get different. Just like depending on what your lineup is.
Agreed. All right, y'all. That's gonna be it. Y'all have a good one. See you tomorrow.